Hello, welcome to the channel, welcome to Swiss Watch Gang. As you know, I try to show you the coolest watches on the internet here in person, film them, and really talk about also what's behind them. And today we have a special guest here, somebody I know for 3 years almost. So Sylvain Berneron, how are you?
Hi Marco, thank you for having me. Very well, thank you. Finally we made it, so
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, man, my pleasure. So I've been following the project since a few years now. I think we spoke about this before we met in Berneron Mirage, approximately 3 years ago.
Yes.
Back then, what did you show me? Pictures or sketches or?
So back then you had this early little prototype here, so it was just a mock-up
Yeah, nice.
of the idea, basically.
With printed.
Yeah, printed dial, printed movement. I mean, it was just a sketch. The idea of this watch, basically, it's called the Mirage. So this is the brand Berneron that carries my family name. And the Mirage was a dream project for me because I collect two types of watches and I always find they are dictated by something. So if you have round watches, for example, I find them dictated by technique. So the style is very rudimentary, let's say, because the movement speaks first. And if you go into shape pieces, the style dictates the movement and you have a poor movement, or let's say low.
Basic movements usually, yeah.
So the entire concept of this watch, the Mirage, is basically having a shaped watch where the case shape is dictated by the movement. Unlike any other shaped watches, if you take a reverso or a crash, the designer draws a free shape, and then the watchmaker has to deal with whatever space is left inside to put the
figure out
tiny
which
wheels.
movement comes inside.
And as a result, you end up with pieces that are very often heavily compromised technically. You have to wind them twice a day. I mean, the no finishing, close case back.
Yeah.
Here is the strict opposite. So as you can see, you have, we started from the movement itself. So I drew basically an entire cinematic chain. I actually have the sketch here. So
nice.
for the people watching with us, I basically picked every component that I wanted on my Christmas list. So I wanted a large barrel, a large balance wheel, a small second at 6 o'clock.
A long bridge, yeah?
Exactly, a long bridge for stability. If I had to place these gears in a round movement, the watch would have been huge.
Yeah.
So one way to go around is basically to go around the pinions, and you end up with an asymmetric movement that is at the same time compact and performant.
Yeah, but also looks beautiful, huh? And this is a movement nobody uses, right? So you basically, for your first watch, you decided to make it as painful as possible and to do everything in-house, essentially, custom bespoke to your watch.
Yes, so only the anchor, the escapement wheel, and the spring in the balance are standard components, which I wanted to have for reliability and chronometric performance. All the other components are bespoke to this caliber.
Wow. And there's one special thing about your watch as well. You use a lot of gold.
Precisely.
How much gold do you use and which components are made out of gold?
So it's an entire full gold construction. That means the main plate, the bridges, the dial, the hands, the case, even the spring bars.
Wow.
And what is not in gold basically are the screws for reliability, the winding train up to the barrel, and the gearing train up to the balance wheel, because I wanted to have them light to not drain the power of the movement. But all the rest is gold, which is also, to me, the best expression of a dress watch. To me, a good dress watch is precious metal, seen time only on a leather strap. So I wanted really to explore in that part of the creative spectrum.
Beautiful. And we have also a lot of components here, right? From the dial, the case, the glass as well, which is custom shaped. So which watches basically inspired you, let's say?
It's
the
really,
Crash maybe was one of them?
It's really, it's my private collection inspires me first and foremost. I collect two types of pieces. Round traditional watches like Patek 96, Lange 1815, Breguet Classique, you know, so these very traditional round cases. I like the movement, I like the chronometry, but the style to me is a bit rigid. And on the other side, I like shaped pieces like the work of Rupert Emerson at Cartier, so he did the Crash, the work of Gilbert Albert at Patek as well. And these guys to me really brought a lot of character in their work, but I always felt the need to have more watchmaking substance in them. For example, the watches we mentioned, again, it's close case back, and some collectors, as you know, they often mock these pieces, calling them fashion watches. Because they don't have...
Yeah, but it makes sense, because if you buy a Crash, like we spoke about, the movement is very basic. Like it's a workhorse movement. It works fine, but like you said, the focus is mostly on the case. But what you did is you combined both worlds, and you basically are gonna speak to a wide audience, because sometimes you have like people who prefer like a sick movement, and sometimes you have people who prefer just like a sick design. And you're catering, I think, to a very wide audience by ticking both boxes. How did you start with this? Because this is not like you didn't just wake up and say like, I'm gonna make a brand. So what was your last, let's say, endeavor before starting your own venture?
Yeah, so I'm an industrial designer by training. My mother was a painter, so she taught me the culture of fine arts and then the artistic mindset as well. I worked 10 years in the watch industry prior, 5 years for the Richemont Group, and then 5 years for Breitling until very recently I was chief product officer at Breitling.
Can we mention any specific models
that I worked on?
Yeah, so people can relate, and
pretty
maybe
much.
Somebody out there has one of the watches.
Yeah, sure. but basically, since 2018, all the watches that have been launched by Breitling have been worked on by myself and my team, of course. So
Nice.
we grew a product department. We started with 5 people back in 2019-ish.
Yeah.
And when I left, we were almost 60 people.
So your favorite one piece or reference, you can even name the,
It's a Navi Timer 41 dark blue dial, if I had to pick one.
Yeah, good choice. So what came next? You basically created the design, the movement, and you had to find everybody to basically construct this for you.
So in order first to make this project, this requires thousands of hours of work to come together, not only drawing, but technical construction, prototyping.
Visiting everybody, probably as well.
Sure.
Visiting the suppliers and
also convincing people to do this, because when you go to suppliers and ask for gold band movement parts, most of them are very skeptical.
like, great.
Yeah, they go like, look, this guy is going to go bankrupt. He's in a month.
Before he even starts.
So we should not bother. So I had to convince and explain. I had to reassure them, pay most of the time 100% in advance, wait for a long time. And we went through a lot of various prototyping stage. So it could be straps. These are, for example, samples that we do in various gold tints, for example, and we do different hand finishing on them to see how the metal shines and how it could
reacts,
translate on the case, precisely.
Gorgeous. And you also created the font and the dial design and everything.
Yes.
What I liked about you is you also asked collectors for feedback, right? Hey, you guys see a lot of watches. What do you like? What you don't like?
So, for example, this is an extract of the work that has been done to create so this is an entire bespoke font for the watch, started from scratch. And this is also the geometric rules that I use using the Fibonacci sequence in order to draw the case, because when you draw a shaped case, the struggle is you can keep drawing endlessly. It could be that shape, this one, and I felt the need to justify it to some extent. And the Fibonacci sequence is something that helped me to geometrically construct the case and have that geometric harmony at the end.
Very impressive. And the buckle as well. Huh? So you basically, like on the Crash, or I have a watch called Soft Watch, not the long ones, but I have the like a round shape or whatever. It also has like a custom buckle, which I appreciate, because that watch is very affordable, but I appreciate this a lot, this detail basically. So
to me, a good shaped watch is the one where you have the case shaped and the buckle. And on the Mirage, for instance, you don't have a single straight line or axis of symmetry. The only thing I kept straight are the spring bars, because I think for a collector, it is important to be able to swap the straps easily.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because you can appropriate the watch in your collection easily, and I don't want people to struggle to replace the strap.
No, I agree.
It makes it no fun.
And what's the thickness of the watch?
So this case overall is 7 millimeters thick. The case diameter is 38 millimeter. It's actually 38 by 34. Lug width 20, and the movement is only 2.3 millimeters thick, which is not world record breaking, but for a full gold construction, it is actually quite something. And we also have a hidden complication in it, which is called the reversed hand set. So unlike the watch you're wearing, for example, although it doesn't have an hour hand, but that's another story. On a traditional watch, you would have the minute hand on top of the hour, like any other watch. And in this case, we have the hour hand, which is the shortest one, on top of the minute, which is like a Christmas tree. If you want, you put the shortest hand on top. And that allows me to drop the glass much sooner onto the profile of the case, which is why the case profile is so thin. The case profile is under 5 millimeters thick, the metal part. So it's a hidden complication. It requires 4 additional wheels onto the mail plate to be achieved. And which is another reason why this movement cannot carry any existing components. It's not something you can add as a module. It has to be built within the main plate.
That's it. So what's the limitation of these watches? You made 2 different versions.
So we have the Mirage Prussian Blue in white gold, and we have the Mirage Sienna in yellow gold. For reference, these 2 names are the names of very important pigments that have been discovered centuries prior. And in the world of fine arts, these pigments allowed painters to create new things because they didn't have blue before, they didn't have this reddish color. So that's a link to my fine art education. We make 24 pieces per year, 12 in each metal, during 10 years. So that's the A series, so 240 watches in total. And in 2033 will come the B series, which will be an evolution. It won't be the same watch, but it will be an evolution because I like to believe that, for example, 50 years down the line, it will be important that the first piece still relates to the next variations to have some form of continuity. And we also have, I should mention that, a 12-year plan in mind with 1 launch per year. So the goal by 2035, if I do my job correctly, we'll have 4 collections, the Mirage being 1 collection, and 16 references and an annual production around 400 pieces per year.
Nice. Well, good luck with that. I think
it's a lot of work.
The way it's looking so far, you're on track. So that's really good. It's really good to hear the plan. And for me, I personally prefer this one. It speaks to me a bit more. It's more warm, more vintagey looking, and the red is really nice as well.
They are very complementary in the sense, for example, more educated collectors and people who already ventured into shaped watches like yourself, they go for this one because you have the melty artistic expression and the warmth of gold. And we also have technical collectors that came to the Mirage first for the movement, and they want to rock it at the office on a
for sure.
jean
For a daily,
t-shirt.
I would prefer the white gold, yes.
Precisely. And this one, to me, is also the best expression of stealth wealth, where it's like, if you know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
When this one is probably harder to rock on a daily basis.
No, for sure, for sure. And the crown is also shaped. It's not round, huh?
No, the crown is oval. The goal was to basically, because it's a manual wind movement, so you have to wind it every 3 days. The power reserve is 72 hours. So you obviously want a decent sized crown in order to wind it.
Yeah.
I hate this small manual ones where you break your nails trying to get them running. It's not possible.
You cut yourself almost there.
Yeah.
And the movement, the finishing, how did you come to that? I remember seeing quite a few different versions of the bridges, the decoration. So how did you end up deciding on this, which I personally like a lot?
The goal was also to bring a lot of aesthetic finishing techniques into the movement, not to be only technical. I really wanted to have a blend of art and technique. So you have quite a strong display of different finishing techniques on this movement. Crénage on the main plate, you have guillochage on the white gold bridges, you have laser engraving, you have anglage, you have trait tiré, cerclage, colimaçonnage.
Yeah, all the French words in the watch.
which are basically to explain a palette of hand finishing techniques, and you really have a wide spectrum. And as a result, the people working on this movement, they are very happy because they can stretch their muscles on the movement. And even the watchmaker is very happy to work on this movement because when you work with solid gold components, if when you assemble the watch you do a little scratch, you can repolish it if you're a good watchmaker. When you use brass movements, if you scratch it, you will take the plating away and you have to send the component back to the factory.
Yeah, true. And a small detail which I like a lot is the bridge above the escapement wheel. It's like cut out and then risen a bit or something.
Yes, so that's
really cool.
Precisely. In French, we call it trompe-l'œil. So it looks like the main plate is bent upwards, and indeed it's a hidden bridge. So it's a separate bridge that is screwed on the main plate. Otherwise, you could not put the wheel in it.
Okay.
So and that's why you have 2 golden screws on the main plate that you can see, and they actually screw 2 gold bridges. You have one on the bottom, which is for the escape wheels that you mentioned, and the top here is a large bridge that goes all the way down to hold the inverted minute handset.
Interesting.
And what you see in the center, the wheel with all the holes, is actually the hour wheel, which is normally on the dial side on a regular watch.
Yeah.
So
beautiful. Awesome. I have no words. So for somebody who wants to buy a watch like this, what's the price point, availability?
So
How much can they bug you about it?
I mean, you can always bug me because you have my number, so that's not an issue. But so in terms of pricing, the Mirage A series is offered as 55,000 Swiss francs, excluding VAT. We produce it for 10 years, 24 pieces per year. At the minute, as we shoot this video, we have allocated 6 years of production.
Yeah, so 4 years are open still.
Yes, 4 years out of 10 precisely. So any new order would be 2029. And as it is right now, I have decided to not open the order book for 2029 for one reason, as we talked before. I want to make sure that the price of gold remains stable over the years, because I'd like to avoid any bad blood of having to raise the price.
Following up with raising prices, nobody likes that.
Precisely.
Especially because percentage-wise, how much of the watch approximately is out of gold?
So
like 80%?
Yeah, more, 90.
More, yeah.
Everything is in gold except a few wheels
and a few...
glass, precisely. So in terms of weight, I think even 3/4 of the total weight of the watch is gold.
Wow, awesome. Damn. And what are these?
What are these? It's actually one anecdote. So
it's heavy, yeah?
Yes. So you
brought some gold for me?
No, I wanted to show you the fine detail.
Just hide one of these.
Take this in your hand. So these are... Basically, to show, these are actually white gold spring bars. You can feel that they are in gold in the weight.
Heavy, yeah?
You can feel the weight of gold. And this is just to show the level of pain and commitment that we put into this. Because for the anecdote, I went to the supplier who makes the screws for IP. And I asked him to make white gold spring bars. He didn't want to do it. He was like... Go home, rethink, you're wasting my time and you're wasting your money.
Sleep on it,
I was like, look, Christian, if you don't understand, see it as an offering to God. I told him, I'm just trying to do my best. And the best would be to have white gold spring bars on a white gold case. And when you think about an offering to God, you don't question budget, do you? So I was like, okay, look, it took me, I kid you not, 3 meetings and 8 hours of driving to the end of the Jura to convince him to do that. And at the end he was like, okay, fine. It will cost you a fortune and you'll have to wait for a long time. So these spring bars cost 150 Swiss francs a piece.
One?
Yes, you have 3 spring bars per watch. And I had to wait 11 months to get them.
Just the spring bars?
Yes.
So if you lose these now,
we are in trouble.
We push the production up for a few years.
And that's the thing. So you have effectively here 100. That's 15,000 Swiss francs.
Yeah, just in this little.
And to explain, it's not just to have a fancy price. The problem is these are made on turning bar engines, huge machines that are the size of this room.
Yeah, and by demand, just by you, probably not.
Yes, and the problem is. If you want to make gold, you have to empty the machine of the brass, clean it, load the gold, mill the gold, recover the chips, and then clean it again to put the brass. And Christian told me, I will charge you the cleaning time because these machines are supposed to work 24/7, and this is how I recover the cost of the initial investment.
Of course, makes sense.
So basically, I'm paying even when the machines are stopped, which is why the spring bars cost a lot. If I was making 10,000 spring bars, the cost of cleaning would be splitted over that. But because you combine precious metal and small quantities, this is why you end up with this expensive
So the attention to detail has no limits with you here. Well, I mean, Sylvain, congratulations on the success so far. I mean, I'm super happy with the results. I remember seeing this, I think 1.5 years ago maybe, with the printed movement, which I was like, wow, this is sick. And it's nice to see it in person, how now it basically materialized into a proper watch, which works, which people will be able to buy soon. What's the timeline for the first deliveries, or do people have them already?
We're going to ship the first pieces in June 2024 as we shoot this video, and then 24 watches.
So very soon, very soon.
Yes.
And I know a few guys who have them already, so I mean, who have ordered them, so I can't wait to shoot them and see them all across the world.
Yeah, that is something I should mention. We've been extremely lucky to have educated collectors that you know, like Ronnie Madvani, Auro Montanari, Laurent Picciotto, Jeff Stein.
One guy from Dubai.
Yes, as well. One guy from Dubai, true. Mr. Bader, the mighty Bader, if we can name him. And I've been very touched. I mean, to have educated collectors like themselves jumping on this, it's to me, it's the biggest gift. It's even bigger than an award because you know that these guys are very sharp on what
They don't
want.
buy just everything, yeah?
Yeah, sure, of course not. I mean, they've seen everything, most of them, so it's quite demanding to please them. So I was very extremely touched.
Awesome. And you will apply for the GPAG, I assume? You need to. It's good to have the golden hand, you know.
As we shoot this video, I should mention we've been invited to participate to the GPAG. I haven't completed the folder yet.
So let's vote for.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I mean, congrats, Sylvain. Thank you for coming as well.
Thank you
It was
for
a
your time,
pleasure to
Marco.
see you. So, guys, check out Berneron. I'm going to put all the links in the description below. If you want to buy one of these watches, there's a discount code Swiss Watch Gang 10%. I'm kidding. You see how much the spring bars cost, so there's no discounts, obviously. Thank you for watching. Share this with your friends who love watches as well, and I'll see you next time.